Hello all, this is Miss Miller. I miss you guys a lot. Kind of weird not seeing you every day. Hope all is well with you. I want to start posting some videos on your assignments that you're working on so that way you're not feeling overwhelmed. I don't want this time to be a stressful time for you. I want this to be hopefully a review. Unit 4 gets into linear functions. Hopefully if we get back, we'll be able to do our balloon bungees and some other stuff that is a lot more hands-on, a lot more fun and interesting. So the first thing in your assignment was functions. Everybody recognize this page and the thing I sent to you. The first thing is talking about is functions, and it says definitions. So the easiest thing to do when I'm thinking about that, I'm going to write over here to the left of that, okay? Does everybody see that? You're going to write in the box. I just don't want to mess up the paper. But as far as a definition of a function has a one-to-one, try that again. One-to-one relationship, okay? One-to-one relationship. In other words, I only have one x value associated with a y value. So one input, one output, okay? So for example, if I have some ordered pairs, let's say 1, 3, 2, 7, 3, 11, and 4, 15. If I notice, none of my x's repeat. I have a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. They don't repeat, okay? And so each x is associated with only one y, okay? So that would be a function, okay? So let's talk a little bit about characteristics of a function. That's the top left or top right for you guys, okay? So characteristics, some characteristics are it passes the vertical line test. Do you guys remember the vertical line test? Okay. Sorry about that. Passes the vertical line test. So if I think about the vertical line test, that was where if I go through and I draw a line through a function, or through a graph, I should say. Let's just do linear for now. If I drew a line like that, if I draw a vertical line down at any point on that graph, it's only going to hit the function in one spot each line. So that would pass the vertical line test. That would tell me that it is a function. Okay, so passes the vertical line test. That's if you're graphing. Okay. Now, if you're not graphing, you can go back to what we talked about earlier with the ordered pairs. 1y associated with 1x, or 1x associated with 1y, okay? All right, so that's characteristics. So let's look at some. It asks for examples of a function. See here, examples. So let's draw out some different functions. You could have a linear function, okay? So you're going to draw in these 4 boxes, okay? 1 in each box, okay? I'm going to draw them over here, okay? So let's say those are your boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4 on your sheet. So I'm going to draw an example of a linear function. We just did one just a second ago, right? It passes that vertical line test, doesn't it? Okay. Some other ones that I can think of is a quadratic, okay? It would also pass the vertical line test, right? Because it's only hitting in one spot. Another one may be absolute value. I don't know if you guys remember absolute value, but it's that V shape, okay? Because absolute value, remember, my answer is always positive, so I'd never have any negatives down here. It would also pass that vertical line test, right? Okay. You could also have a quartic function, okay? Quartic functions could look like a W, okay? The reason quartic is meaning 4, because it crosses 1, 2, 3, 4 times on my x-axis, okay? Those are all real answers. We'll talk about that later. But it also passes that vertical line test. Okay, so everybody good. So on that bottom left of your sheet, you should have drawn those examples or something similar to, okay? If you want to do a different one, that's fine. As long as you understand the concept. So now let's think about the non-examples. What would be a good non-example? Well, we could also have a line that could be not a function, okay? If I draw a line straight up and down, right? If I draw that vertical line test, it's going to hit more than once, isn't it? So now that would not be a function, okay? Or I could have a quadratic that goes to the side, okay? This would be x equals y squared, okay? If you were in Algebra 3, you might have learned about these. But if I do a vertical line test, it hits twice, so now I know it is not a function, okay? You could also have an absolute value that goes to the side, okay? There again, this would be a x equals the absolute value of y, right? Instead of the other way around. That way your x would always be positive, and it would not cross. It would cross more than once, so it would not be a function. Another one could be the other quartic again, okay? But this would be x equals y to the fourth, okay, instead of the other way around. If I draw a line, it hits 1, 2, 3, 4 times in some places, okay? So those would be some examples of non-functions that would go in this part of your first sheet. All right, I'm going to pause this, and then I will do another video shortly on the next part, your task number 1. I hope this was helpful.